Hello. I thought I would do some spooky paranormal story times with you, my own experience, in this lovely setting of my kitchen with some cider and a flute shoot, because why not? Feeling posh. I have got washing behind me, yes, and a sink that has got dishes drying. Life of a mum. But I thought I would share with you my own personal experiences of my life. I have quite a lot, so I don't know if I'm going to do just one episode or two or three. Depends how long these are as well, because my phone doesn't have the best storage, because I'm very amateur at this, so please bear with me, and thank you for giving me all your time and just sticking with me, really. Yeah, so without too much rambling, because I know what it's like, because it is Halloween week, we are leading up to Halloween, Samhain, and what better time to talk about our scary stories. Some of them aren't very scary though, to be fair. Paranormal experiences don't have to be scary, as long as you trust in yourself and your protection that is always around you, pretty much. So yes, I'm going to have a drink. Please have a sip with me. Go make yourself a cup of tea if you are child free, or if you are able to have a drink. I'm waiting for Jay to finish work. He was the one who carved all those magnificent pumpkins, along with his brother as well. He did one, and I did a few, but yes, Jay has done the Pokemon ones, and he's got one more to do, and they're amazing, so I thought I would show them in the video, because why not? So yes, cheers. Dutch courage. I wanted to start with my first ever paranormal experience as a child. I don't really know what I saw, in terms of if it was a ghost or if it was something else. The reason why is because I mistook it for someone who was live and with us at the time, so I was very confused. I must have been about, I would say 10 or 11. I might have been 12. I definitely was old enough to understand what ghosts were and that people were generally frightened of them sometimes. And I was also very aware that what I was looking at wasn't quite right, I would say. But needless to say, at my young age, we had gone for a family dinner. Can't really remember for the life of me where we went to. I know it was a pub somewhere, and there was my mum, my dad, my auntie, I think my uncle, my stepmum, and I can't remember who else was there, but I do know there was someone else. And yeah, so we'd gone for a pub dinner, and we basically made our way back to my home, my childhood house, and the only way that I can really explain it is that we have a porch, and this porch was a square porch, little porch, you know, where you put your coats and your shoes in before you go into the house, and on the left hand side of the porch there was a window with one of those netted curtains to prevent people from looking in, but you could still see out. So I would say it was probably about twilight, definitely not daytime. It must have been about summertime, because it was pretty late, but it was still twilight. I remember that because I could still see. And as I'm walking into this porch, I look through the netted curtain, and I look and I see a figure, and I'm thinking, that doesn't look quite right. So I look, and I'm looking, and I realise that this figure is see-through, and I am kind of shocked at this point. And what really puzzles me is that this figure looks exactly like my stepmum. And I'm just flabbergasted, to be honest. I have no idea what's going on. I look behind me and I see my stepmum, and that's when I realised that what I'd just seen definitely was not my stepmum. And I was looking at this figure for a good 10 seconds before I even really acknowledged the fact that it was probably a ghost. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, because like I said, it did look like my stepmum, and she's very much alive and here with us today. So I have no idea what I saw. I just know, like, hand on my heart, I know what I saw. And what I saw was a figure, and it was see-through, and it was walking away from the house. Very peculiar, very peculiar. And that was probably the only time that I've ever seen a full figured apparition, and I don't know what it meant, but yeah. I ran into the house screaming straight into my mother's tummy, and I don't think I left her side for the rest of the night because I was that freaked out. So that was the first time I'd ever seen what I believed to be a ghost. Still not 100% convinced, but what I believe to be a ghost. That was my first paranormal experience. There was many more to come. There's many more to come. I think I might do 2 more, and then I might, I don't know, make this into a series if you like it, but I've got so many stories to talk about. But yes, so my second paranormal experience is, I would say, on a scary level of 1 to 10, I would say it's about a 7. Just because it does involve sleep paralysis, but I wasn't asleep particularly when it continued, if that makes sense. So I do suffer from sleep paralysis. I suffer from it quite frequently, especially when I'm tired, and I never ever open my eyes. I don't know what it is, but from a very young age, I kind of had this instinct to just not open my eyes. I didn't actually hallucinate through sleep paralysis until I was later 20s. So I definitely, I just had this instinct that when I was in sleep paralysis to just calm myself down and go back to sleep, because if I panicked or if I got too hyped up or if I was too worried, I would start giving myself severe anxiety. I think it's time for another drink quickly. Yes, so this was when I was with my ex. I'm hearing loads of bangs around the house. I'm thinking it's the house settling, but whenever you talk about paranormal experiences or ghosts or anything like that, generally they love to come out to play. But anyway, so this was a few years back, and I was with my ex, and he had a little boy who was staying over for the night at my old house, and we had gone to bed, and I was very, very tired. I remember that night, and generally when I'm overtired, anxious, or if I've got anything going on in my life that's causing me mental health issues, I will have a lot of sleep paralysis, generally every night, and then it kind of dies down when everything settles and I'm feeling less anxious. So I remember we had gone to bed, and I had basically, I think I'd woken up a few times in the night and managed to go back to sleep. And I remember waking up again, and I had unfortunately fallen into sleep paralysis because I was that tired. And I remember thinking to myself, if I could just wake my boyfriend up at the time, he would be able to kind of wake me up, because I was really, really struggling to go to sleep. Really struggling. Normally I'm able to just fall back asleep and then wake up absolutely fine. But for some reason this particular night I was really, really struggling. And I was starting to get very anxious, because the more that I realised that I wasn't falling back asleep and the more that I was thinking about it, the cycle began and I was becoming very uneasy. So I decide to just do some deep breaths. I normally have a breathing routine that I go through to try and, fall back into a deep sleep. And as I'm doing these deep breaths, I'm slowly hearing some whispering in my ear. And at this point, this was the first time that I'd ever heard anything during sleep paralysis. Like I said, I only started hallucinating a few years ago, and at this point I'm thinking this has got to be an hallucination. You're just imagining it, you're just dreaming it, it's fine. and I'm hearing this whispering, and I'm thinking, okay, this is getting louder. And I'm on the right hand side of the bed, and my ear is obviously on the right, and this whispering is coming closer and closer and closer to my ear, and I'm starting to slowly freak out because I can hear multiple voices at this point, and I couldn't make out what they were saying. So I remember just being like, just ignore it, Amber, it'll be fine, it will go away. And it wasn't going away, and it was becoming louder and louder and louder, and it sounded like children, and I thought, has my partner's son gotten into the room and I haven't realised? And because like it really sounded, but it sounded like a little girl, and my partner's son was a little boy, and it was going whispering in this rhythm, and eventually it got so close that I could hear what it was saying, and it was going, the devil's in this house, the devil's in this house, the devil's in this house. And it was multiple children telling me that the devil was in my house. And I don't believe in the devil, so I found that very peculiar, because that wouldn't necessarily be something that I thought I'd hallucinate, but hey ho, you know, you never know. So that at that point, I basically got scared very, very quickly, because I honestly, I was so freaked out. I started hyperventilating and falling into a complete and utter panic attack in my sleep paralysis state, that my partner actually had to shake me awake, and I was just trying to catch my breath. So, you know, okay, whatever. Anyway, an hour goes by, and I must say this is probably now at about 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe 3:30, and my ex-partner's son wakes up crying, and he wants to come and sleep in our room. So we're like, that's fine, you can come and sleep in our room. We bring him into the room, and he falls asleep absolutely fine. He didn't want to tell us what had made him cry though. I remember my partner had asked him, and he just didn't really want to say. He just said he wanted to come into our room, and he was only about 3 or 4 at the time. No, he was about 3 at the time. So I was like, okay, you know, fair enough. Children at that age, they always want to come into your room sometimes. Something might have spooked them in the night, and I didn't really want to scare him or press him anymore, so I just, you know, kind of left it. And then in the morning, we were having breakfast, and I can't remember if it was me or my partner at the time who had asked his son what it was that had scared him in the night to make him want to come and sleep in our room. And to this day, it gives me chills what he had said. What he replied back when we'd asked him what had scared him gives me real chills down the spine, because he said that the children were scaring him in the room. And I didn't say anything, but I just thought to myself, interesting. What can you do in that situation? That house in particular, I didn't actually have many paranormal experiences in when I was younger, but I actually ended up moving back into that house by myself for a while. And when I was on my own, living there, a few things happened in that house which, you know, to me, I just can't explain, but maybe that is for another time. So, my third paranormal story time is actually a bit more recent, and I think I'm going to tell this one because I find it very, very cool. At the same time, it's a bit, okay, you know, a bit scary, but no, it's fine. You know, we can deal with that. It happened in this house, and a few things have happened in this house. This house is very old. It's a cottage, and I don't know exactly how old it is, but let's just say it is the proper setting for a horror movie if you looked at it, to be honest, which is right up my street anyway. It doesn't mean the house isn't beautiful. So it's October, I had to think then, and this happened in August, and it happened on my birthday, which I find very cool, to be honest, as well, because I don't find this one as scary, I would say. I don't want to see it as scary because I actually think it might have been a family member, but we basically it was my birthday, had a lovely day. It came to the evening boys were in bed, but yeah, so basically what had happened was the day had been and gone. It was evening, the children were in bed, and it was just myself and Jay in the kitchen. And this kitchen table that I'm using currently actually used to face this way. So I was sat kind of in this section here, and there used to be a table by the windowsill. So yeah, I was facing the door, and Jay was standing by the stove, and he was looking out the window. And on this table was an old cardboard box that basically one of the boys' toys had come in, pretty much, and I just dumped it there. And it was kind of folded like this, I would say. And I think it was folded like this. It was folded somehow that there was basically like a fold in it. So I was just talking to Jay, and we were having a chat. And out of the corner of my eye, I just see movement going up and then going down. And I was like, And I turn to Jay and I say to him, what was that? And when I turn to him, he's as white as a sheet and he's looking directly forward. And he was like, what did you just see? And I say to him, well, I just, in the corner of my eye, I just saw what looked to me like the cardboard box being lifted up and then put back down. And he was like, yeah, I've just seen exactly the same thing. And as he said that, these lights, so that you've got these backlights and then you've got a light right above my head, those lights were on and they pretty much flickered a few times and then went back to being normal. And I just thought to myself, I think that's a family member saying happy birthday because the box that it had picked up was very colourful and starry, and might not have been, but the fact that the lights flickered afterwards as well, to me, is just like a signal that it wasn't, it wasn't just some wind. We had no windows open. It was a pretty heavy cardboard box to be able to be lifted up. And Jay saw it too. Honestly, I can't explain it. We tried to figure out how it would have happened, but it was just bizarre. It was absolutely bizarre. And it's kind of one of my favourite paranormal story times because we both witnessed it, and it made me feel very happy because I genuinely felt calm, and I felt like a family member was just coming to say hello and happy birthday. So yes, I think I'm going to end the video there. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. I feel like this might become a series. I don't know. I've got so many stories that I'd love to share, just to get them out there and tell people. And I love having a scary story. I love watching paranormal story times. I love experiencing them. I love talking to people about them. I like anything spooky, and it's the season for it anyway. So if you enjoyed this video, which I really hope you did, thank you so much for sticking around, and I will probably see you in the next one. I am planning on doing a video explaining why I have now got a shaved head. Probably look very different from my last video, which is absolutely fine as well. But that video, I think, is in need of its own video because I feel like I'm going to be explaining a lot of what's been going on in my life, which I feel like might help people. If it does, that's great. But yes, I'm going to save that for another video, I think. So in the meantime, I hope wherever you are, you're all having a fabulous day, evening, night. And please enjoy the spooky season. Might have another video coming up before Halloween, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking around, guys. Bye-bye.